instead of having like this mass panic, I mean, I'm sitting here listening, go, what the frick, right?
Yep.
So instead of having mass panic, what are recommendations that people can do?
I had that message to everyone. Stop being comfortable with the legacy applications you are using, right?
So, welcome to this week's episode of AI Because. We have a very special guest this week. It's not just the cast of characters that we normally see and love each time. Evgeny Koloda, and Evgeny has his own consulting business. I freaking love to sit in the room with him and listen to the experience that he has and what he brings to the table for us today. Koloda Consulting. So, Evgeny, welcome to the conversation. It's great to have you here, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. And again, we had a few conversations before, and I'm so excited. So I run the small boutique, technology advisory boutique called Koloda Consulting. Again, I have clients across Canada, US, Europe, Asia, and I've been around the world. So I lived in Bangkok for 6 years and many years in Canada. Now we have a big, clients and big project in Tampa, Florida. So I
Uh-huh.
go around, again, small, focusing on small to mid-sized businesses, technology strategy. But now everyone is focusing on AI, right?
Yeah,
And
no,
we met at the AI advanced mastery class, and I think it
yeah.
was an amazing class that gave us that edge on practical implementation, not just talk
Hmm.
about the why we need AI, but how to
Yeah.
implement it. Mhm.
Well, and great connection, right? Because that's how we all got connected at some level. That's what we have in common. And it's interesting how different people in that class, and the class was, I want to say, almost 2 years ago now that it started.
Yeah, that's right.
And so
Yeah.
just the trajectory of where stuff's gone. And what I love about it is, like you mentioned, I think it's connected more of us globally because of that. Even though we do experience, my daughter asked me, we're in Mexico right now in Cabo, and she's like, Mom, have you looked at ChatGPT from logging in here? It's different, right? And so that's the exposure. Even though this is available all around, there are limitations depending on where where you're accessing it from. I could say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would love to go. We'll go around the room and we'll chat about what's happening in just a focus area. But I'd love to start out, Evgeny, with you. And what are you seeing? Because I know you're back from cybersecurity aspect of a conference that was hot and heavy. So are you good with chatting about that? And then we can all kind of weigh in.
Yeah, absolutely. We just had a two. We actually had two head-to-heads discussions about cybersecurity meetings in Tampa with Rapid7, company Comcast, and a few other vendors. And it was interesting. Everyone was talking about the same thing: AI, 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 and how it's changing cybersecurity on both sides, right? And again, because I was an AI expert on the panel, they were all the questions were targeted me, right? Because everyone is asking, so what tools we need to use, and we showed them what tools perpetrators are using right now. The landscape changed, and all the vendors are basically just running around and trying to create the defense mechanism, right? But the bad guys are using the dark web, and on dark web they have virus as the servers, right? Ransomware is the servers, and we saw one tool which just basically one click and it creates your website in seconds, fake website, content, script, send the link to the, first to start flooding your email with tons of spam, millions of emails with spam. So, and 2 minutes later, you will receive a call from the technical support saying, well, you just been hit with spam. Let me help you. And the
Oh,
target that they send them to the legit remote desktop site, not fake one anymore. It's a legit one. But while they're downloading, they're injecting the code, and they have full
oh,
control of your computer in seconds. And person doesn't even understand, doesn't even know. And it's happening all the time right now. And the fake websites are happening like they can create it in seconds, and you can buy it as a service. You just pay with crypto, click the button, boom, everything is done and executed. This is crazy. And we talk about vishing, the phone calls, which are happening right now when the calls are coming from CIO, from CFO with his voice or her voice, right? And ask you to transfer money. But then you receive the email, which looks legit. And it's happening right now. So as we all agreed on the same topic, Manoj, right? Risks are changing. Cybersecurity is changing because the bad guys just have access to AI tools for fraction of a cost and so many tools that we don't even know about. And
Yeah.
I'm testing a few dozen of applications, AI-based applications a week. And I go through them and see what can be used and what cannot be used. It's good that we have it on the security side, right? So we can try to analyze logs to try to prevent ransomware, but the bad guys, they just faster.
Oh, yeah, because they don't have to go through governance. They don't need risk management policy.
No,
they just get a tool, and then within like a few minutes, they
So
can
what
start
do you
using
do?
it.
So instead of having like this mass panic, I mean, I'm sitting here listening, go, what the frick, right? So instead of having mass panic, what are recommendations that people can do aside from the obvious? For me, it's like this pendulum swing of, it's great, we're going to embrace it, and now this attack's happening. So it's like, how do you protect yourself? What are the warning signs without becoming paranoid? I mean, because that's the other space of it, right?
I had that message to everyone. Stop being comfortable with the legacy applications you are using, right? You're doing phishing simulated attacks, right? And everyone is using KnowBe4 or other platforms, right? And I actually met with the KnowBe4 C-level person at that conference, right? And I raised this concern. I said, hey, I had to choose a different platform which has AI capabilities, right? I love KnowBe4, but I had to switch because they don't have this capability. They're still sending the regular phishing campaign with spelling mistakes, right? Which is very obvious. And everyone is, running the simulation campaign and see, oh yeah, only 3% of the company click on the email. I think we're good, we're safe.
Yeah.
And we ran it with the new one, which has the very, very good crafted email. And we have 26% of the clients, members just provided their username and password. That's it. That's all you need. And then I freaked out. I said, oh my God. So then I don't know about the state of my cybersecurity because I use the legacy applications, not what the bad guys are using right now. That was the first message. Start using the applications with AI capabilities, right? Get on the same level. And the other one, learn, right? I'm sitting and reading what are the bad guys are using. We all talking about Sora and video creation. Do you know how many language models out there that we don't know about? And they're way much better than applications we know. People creating those digital images and videos of AI influences, right? There are tools out there which are creating them way better than the ones we're paying for.
And there was an interesting
recently,
trend.
It just blew my mind.
And there was a recent interesting trend when DeepSeek came out. So that's where Microsoft, Nvidia, all the share prices going down. But what was going up was all the cybersecurity company prices started going up because with AI becoming cheaper, all the cybersecurity companies now can incorporate more AI at much more cost-effective purposes. So that was an interesting trend to see that all the cybersecurity companies, the share price, went up like 15, 20% within, 2 or 3 weeks time period. So that is a positive aspect, right? Because like Evgeny said, that whatever software we have used for IT security, information security in the past, if those software don't have AI capabilities, then you are vulnerable. So you need to go to those vendors and see if they have an AI upgrade of those IT security software.
You know what came to mind? Go ahead. Sorry about that.
If they don't, then you have to think of switching to vendors who then are providing AI-enabled IT security software.
And I think it's like, what do you do? It's what came to mind for me. This is the frickin' visual, Manoj, as you were talking. and Evgeny, the stuff that you were sharing is that it's almost like bringing your bow and arrow to a fight where somebody else has a cannon, right? Or some other tanker or whatever it is. I mean, so it's like, what is the thinking? What are your thoughts around small, medium-sized businesses, individuals, if you will, because you're in the same space? I mean, on my podcast, Leadership Soundbites, I had Heather Lutzi, who's a district director for SBA, so Small Business Administration. And it was interesting because she's like, small businesses make up X percentage of businesses in the US. I said, what's your definition of small business? Small business and SBA terms, and this is where it's like we have to wrap our brain around it. People can have up to 500 employees. Now, that's not small business in my terms, right? So if you do small business for SBA standards, and then you go up to what's a medium-sized business, you're talking about a lot of risk. Evgeny, you're talking, people are clicking at 26% fail rate on this stuff that's coming through because we're back here sitting with our bow and arrow looking at, oh, if there's a typo and spelling errors, then that's how we flag it. And it's like, these guys are playing with tools that we're using to craft better emails and image generators and everything else. And so the game has changed. So how do you have a conversation and interview somebody, an organization, and it's not just, are you AI capable, but what's your efficacy? How are you at defending against this stuff so that people aren't spending money thinking they're air quotes safe and, it's a smoke and mirrors kind of thing. What are your thoughts?
I worked for PwC and BDO previously, right? And I see the trend right now that the large consulting companies, they're not agile enough, right? They cannot learn this stuff fast enough. And that's why the small consultancy boutiques right now are thriving. Because, Manoj, you're doing the workshop, I'm doing workshops, right? I can build a workshop in matter of hours, right? And go and present it to small companies, right? For a small fee, but I don't need to run 4 months workshops anymore. I can do it for 5 hours, 2 hours. I'm presenting today to the rural area projects in BC, Canada, right? So we are presenting this technology to small companies, but I need 5 hours with them, and then I'll teach them how to do the proper cybersecurity marketing with AI tools. That's the key, right? So again, for small to mid-sized companies, go to consulting companies who knows what AI is, right? What tools to use and how to implement them properly with proper security in place. Because everyone just jumped and start using DeepSeek or start using GPT. And I keep telling them, just be careful. This is not secure, right? Your data is public.
Yeah, agreed. What are some other thoughts, Greg, Steve, Manoj? What thoughts do you have or questions do you have? Because
personally speaking, I just don't click on any message, right, unless I am 100% sure, not of only the sender, but the context, right? Because the thing is that with the AI, you can automate. You can go out to LinkedIn. You can have the bot go out and to get LinkedIn and find all the other people at the company, right? And then you can craft a phishing email with good English with people from your company, right? And so it's so easy to fool people. So you've got to just be vigilant about not only is that person the right person, is the email well crafted, but also, do I know that this person, is it reasonable that this person would ask this question at this time, right? And with
unfortunately, unfortunately, Steve, that's not good anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not.
Those tools
you've got to have another line of defense before it gets to you.
How would you recommend? Because well, speaking for myself, I just don't click on anything unless I'm 100% sure. Like I said, now what would you say that goes beyond that level of vigilance?
Yeah, if you put the right tools in place, right, you will see that email it's spoofed, right? So it's not coming from legit domain, right? That's the main one.
At the main,
right? From email, that's the key. So you have to always hover your mouse and read. Is it coming from the legit email? Because that's difficult to spoof, right? The content is easy to build right now. There are tools right now which just go to your social media and build your profile, everything about you,
Mm-hmm.
and then craft email based on your profile and your boss. So the email will come very legit with the style, signature, with everything they collected online.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right now, the phone calls are very legit. When they talk to you, they're using this profiling. The video deepfakes have become that real as well. So you can hide behind your boss's face, right? Have this content and look very legit. So I already advising everyone, if you doing a financial transaction, you cannot do it even with a phone verification. You have to be face to face. You meet with your CFO, you shake the hand, say, yes, okay, I'm doing the transaction. Nothing through video. Or create a secure word, right? So we're creating secure words, we share it in the meeting and say, okay, we're using the secure word for the next week. So every time you make a transaction or something, you over the phone, yes, go, what's the secure word for this week? I know it sounds crazy, right? It sounds like a KGB, CIA guy and stuff, but this is the reality. People are laughing because they go and touch me and say, hey, you're real. It's like, it's not funny. I have digital twin and I can put that digital twin in front of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
No, before that company who is in cybersecurity space, they were not hacked, but they had this case and we discussed it where they hired a person after 4 interviews over Zoom and sent him the laptop and the credentials to log in.
No.
The guy was perfect English, everything was perfect. The guy was a Korean spy. He was sitting behind the deep fake, having all those interviews with the fake voice, fake face. They vetted him over the phone, over the Zoom. They sent him the credentials. He logged in, open computer. You don't need to hack. He just logged in and
And that was
started hacking the system.
and it was not just one case, right? Because FBI had to come and issue a big alert that
Yeah.
it was happening across many US companies where North Korean hackers were being
Yes.
hired in IT teams of US banks and US organizations. The FBI had to come and issue that, okay, this is
To this
Wow.
point, nobody is breaking through the firewall right now. It's too expensive, too time consuming. It's much more easier to go and interview, fake yourself, right? Talk to someone and receive a laptop with
Literally walk in
VPN,
the
with
front door.
credentials.
You walk in the
Yeah.
front door and steal them blind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So and
Oh,
they would get the laptop, and those laptops will be shipped to North Korea, and they'll
Yeah.
just pretend to
Yeah.
work from there. But it was happening on a very, very large scale, and I think that is one of the reasons why a lot of the large companies, like you must have seen J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they're come back to office, that remote working.
yes.
Because
Yes.
of the level of trust is reducing with all these new technologies. I mean, of course, there are many reasons, but this is one of the reasons that I need to see the person I'm hiring face to face.
Yeah.
They have a
That's a genuine
new
person.
job. The field agents who goes and go to the person they're hiring, right, and check if that person is legit.
Right.
But again, a lot of companies, they have no idea about it, right? They don't know, and they just continue doing the same thing, right? They're global. Even some
Well, I
of
was
my
going to
clients,
say,
right?
when you've got a remote workforce, what is the
Yes.
stuff that you can combat? So it was like interesting, Jeannie, you were talking about, Steve, when you were saying, look at it, do your due diligence. I've had reach outs on stuff about a number of different things, and I will go into AI and say, is this legit email address? What's the background on this stuff? Because it may look, but there's some slightly thing off, and then I won't even go near it. But it's like, what? It's interesting that the aspect of you got remote workforces. How do you counter against that? Because you're going to have that kind of stuff happen for smaller businesses, smaller being up to 500 employees. How do you counter that without, having to fly to some, distant place? And the other part of it is, what is the first line of defense for that stuff? So it's not where Steve's talking about, because it's not up to us mere mortal humans. But what is the first line of defense that people can tap into? It isn't a buzzword like get cybersecurity consultant that's got, the experience. What can I put my hands on? What would you recommend So I know that's
Well,
layered stuff, and I don't recommend anyone does that with questioning, but that's what's on
we
my mind.
we're going back to the physical handshake and meeting physically with people, right? Again, AI is not it's still not that good to fake that conversation. So you can
Yeah,
have a conversation over the phone or on the Zoom video, but right, if it's yeah, it's still not sophisticated enough. But uh, checking social media is not good enough. There are tools
no,
out there. You click one button and it will create your social media presence everywhere. It will create your fake LinkedIn. There was another guy who was helping people to pass through the technical interviews to Amazon, Google, and so on. So he made millions of dollars, a Chinese guy. So he created a tool. It was right in front of you, and you fake all the technical questions and you fake the interview. You just sit and read everything that's on the screen, right? And you
Yeah.
fake it. And Zoom, Amazon hiring you because they have a very, very strict technical interview. And now you can just go like this without even knowing technical stuff. But the most important part, they were faking their LinkedIn profile. So they're creating a LinkedIn profile for you. So
Yeah.
Amazon goes and the HR and checking it, right? Well, yeah, you have Instagram, you have LinkedIn, and saying, yeah, you have 15 years of experience in, AI scripting, right? That's what they do, and they check and say, yeah, legit, good. Click the button. That social media profile is fake,
yeah,
but it takes seconds to create it, right? Again, it's very sophisticated, that world right
mhm,
now. You need to learn, you need to talk to someone, right? Educate yourself. But again, just be extremely careful when you do your day-to-day financial or confidential activities. It's not the same world anymore.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's just the awareness and training. And I work with banks. So with the banks, they not only have to train their employees, but they also have to train their customers, because the
hmm,
fraudsters are also targeting the customers of the
Yes.
banks to get access to their online banking details. And then small businesses may have to also do that, because they are targeting the vendors, they're targeting the employees, they're targeting the customers. So you need to like create this level of awareness within those stakeholders on protecting against, yeah, these fraud and cyber type
yeah,
incidents. But where it is early days is that we need digital identities, right? That is what we don't have today. That if I
Agreed.
see a video of Michelle, there is no way of knowing that, okay, is this genuine Michelle's video or is this a deep fake Michelle's video? And somewhere where technology companies are building is on blockchain. So that'll be one of the use
Mhm.
cases for blockchain, because once an identity gets created on blockchain, it's impossible to go and modify that. And there are various companies building those solutions where you will be able to then verify that if you see Michelle's video, if it has Michelle's official identity, then you know it's a
hmm,
genuine video. If it is not, then you know that, okay, it is a fake video. That would be one way. That right now you can fake driving license, you can fake
Yep.
passport. So we don't really have any safe way of knowing that, okay, this video or this document or this email is from this person. And
is
until we have
legit.
digital identities,
Yeah, yeah.
we won't have that, yeah, foolproof way.
We are in a fast changing world, and even the identity management, right? Like that relies upon a digital signature, right?
Mhm.
And that may and it certainly it's perfect for now, right? And we need something, some verifiable way, and that will take us till the point that we get to quantum computing, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
then we're going
Yeah.
to have a new way
Yeah.
of dealing with identity management, because quantum will
Yeah.
break all the existing
Oh,
cryptography.
in a second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
In
So
a
so
second.
yeah, so we're definitely gonna we're in for a whipsaw
Yeah.
of a ride
Oh
coming
yeah.
with
Yeah. Yeah.
regards to
We are in that
IoT.
transition where, yeah,
Yeah.
because we are in that flux now, so many things are vulnerable that if
Hmm.
we are not aware and if we are not managing it carefully,
Yeah,
a
and
lot of things
yes,
can easily
and
break. Let's see, Greg, have we scared you enough?
No,
Is
Poor
no,
there?
Greg. Greg is like, I'm gonna stay with the cows. The cows
no,
are not
no.
doing this. The cows are not doing this.
I've had an interesting weekend of social media summit, and so what's coming to terms to me is that our culture has made us, scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through social media. And if we're doing that with our emails, anything that's clickbait, we're attracted to. And again, if you talk about very intelligent people working to get our attention, there's multiple ways of doing it. So if it's through email, if it's through our through our phone messaging systems and everything else, we really have to just be discerning on what we're clicking on or what we're accepting. And yeah, that's going to be more intentional as time goes on.
Yeah. And
I
Evgeny, I
don't go
liked
ahead.
your I liked the Evgeny control you mentioned earlier about having like a code word, like a weekly code word, and especially in areas where there are vulnerabilities. Because there is this one case which happened in Singapore or Hong Kong, where a CFO called somebody or CEO called somebody in the finance team, and it was a fake CEO, not a genuine CEO, and he convinced the person in the finance team to transfer 25-30 million dollars out. And so that was like the first successful
Yeah.
deep fake loss event, where actual money was lost. And this is like 1.5-2 years ago, so it's not a recent event, but because it was the first one, it got a lot of press. But in cases like that, so at least with the finance and accounting team who are dealing with a lot of money, or any teams which are dealing with a lot of sensitive customer information, business secrets, confidential strategy type information, then it's good. I mean, you need multi-layer security, right? But like having a code word which changes, so you know that, okay, when the CEO is calling, I ask for a code word, and if that code word matches plus whatever 2-3 other security layers, only then I will execute the transaction, or I'll do what the
And
CEO is
who
telling me to do.
in their right mind that would from a phone call you're doing? I
But
mean,
it was that
But
convincing, yeah. But it was
Yeah,
that
but it was
convincing.
vishing. So the
you
phone
know,
call, the voice was the CEO's voice, right? And the
Yeah,
content was right. It
yeah.
is very tricky. It's happening a lot right now.
it's
They have the
yeah,
content in front of you, so
Yeah,
they can
especially in
fake.
yeah.
in Eastern cultures where the boss,
Yeah,
whatever the boss says is a command.
okay,
You don't
okay,
challenge. You don't challenge
It,
the boss. You just
right,
okay.
follow the
right.
order.
Yeah, it's really remarkable because I think that the threat environment has just gotten so complex that what's needed is a multi-layer strategy. Because on the one hand, the pure volume of automated events, is there. It's just very significant. I remember several years ago we had I was working for a company, and we had a large government agency as a customer, and they shared with us the number of events that they had. An event is basically anything that you need to that might could potentially turn into an incident, right? So a bunch of emails or someone coming to your site. They I think they were getting 30 million events a month, right? Like it was really astounding. And so as these things get better and as the automation improves, I think it's reasonable to expect even small companies to be
Yep.
getting, many events. And so at the lowest level, you need a strategy for the events, right? That volume. And then at a more personalized level, some of these things, like, they won't come in millions in quantity of millions or thousands, but obviously someone spent some time to craft them, and you need also a strategy for those. So again, multi-layer strategy to deal with all this stuff. So
Go ahead, Evgeny.
yeah. At that event, yeah, we met with Rapid7, we met with Sumo Logic. So they're all creating the SIEMs, collecting all the logs, constantly monitoring. But again, we see the change that the SOC, the security office, right, as we know it, with 24/7 hundreds of people reviewing the logs, is going to change, and it's changing with
Mm-hmm.
agentic AI right now. Those
Yeah.
AI agents will be analyzing all your logs against the active threats, right? But they also will be predicting what threat could that generate, and then raising alerts, block the most obvious ones, right? And then you'll have the dashboard with
it's
5, 6, 7, the most critical ones, where you just need to click a button, read, and say yes, execute or deny. That's the future. And the SOC are changing. SOC and NOC are changing as we know it, right? Talking to all the vendors, and the vendors who has that legacy approach, they'll be obsolete. You cannot
absolutely.
read those logs manually anymore, right? Create those
Oh yeah,
false positives, have the
Yeah,
dashboard and showing, oh, look, you look good.
yeah,
We just look through those
Right.
alerts and maybe review another 300.
yeah,
I think the tricky part is that what is, but fundamentally, what is AI, right? Like AI, it relies upon prediction, right?
Right.
That's what AI does. Gen AI is merely prediction of words, right? And so in a certain sense, there is still this game of what is predictable, right? And so I think there's going to be a cat and mouse game to try to break patterns and do things that are not predictable, and I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth tension in that.
well, and I think one of the things that came to mind for me when you guys were talking is that there's this thing of what was said is it's larger businesses for the most part, and smaller ones, if you will, so not the 500 employees, are less at risk because the upside is different if they're successful of breaking through. But what comes to mind for me is because it's so easy to create this stuff, it's easier for them to mass target. It doesn't matter. So it's not like you're doing this heavy lift anymore and potentially sending stuff out.
yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. Manoj, you had a thought when Evgeny was sharing.
Yeah, I think the strategies you asked earlier, Michelle, in terms of what should small businesses do. So I run a small business with 12 employees, and something me and my co-founder have adopted is that we've just stopped using email for all internal communication because email is the most insecure channel,
Hmm.
and our employees are getting so many emails pretending to be me or my co-founder that it's very easy, for employees, especially when we spread globally, to fall prey. So we started using WhatsApp and Slack and other channels, which are a lot more secure. Yeah, nothing is 100% secure,
Yep.
but at least they are a lot more secure than using emails from a communication perspective. And even with some of the customers, like in Middle East, where the firewalls are very strict, we started using LinkedIn for communicating with those customers. Instead of sending emails, because the emails then get blocked, they're not sure whether it's generally coming from me or not. But on LinkedIn, they know that, okay, it's coming directly from me. They can verify that on LinkedIn. So that's another
Or not, or
option.
not, or not on LinkedIn. Because Evgeny, I was just thinking about the thing that creates all these LinkedIn profiles.
Oh
What are
yeah,
your
but you have
thoughts?
your accredited profile where, because I have validated my profile with my passport and so on. So you've got the check mark symbol. So yeah,
Yeah,
lots of
Yeah.
people can create my profile, but they won't be able to create the check mark, or not as easily to create
yeah,
the verified mark.
yeah.
I think we touched this point, but the very important is the identity management. And for small companies, yet two-factor authentication is not good enough anymore.
Mm-mm.
You need to
Mm.
implement something like the multi-factor authentication. For example, we did Okta implementation and Okta 2 years ago, and Okta right now, completely different beast, right? They have the workflows, they have their behavior analysis, right? They're constantly trying to analyze. They're analyzing how you connecting. Is your behavior changing? Are you connecting from multiple locations? Are you connecting from a different computer for the first time? It's analyzing it and then can stop your access. Majority of our data right now in the cloud. You cannot control it, right? It's Google, it's Amazon who are responsible for the data, right? And they're not breaking into Google. It's too expensive. They just need your username and password, legit username and password. That's your identity management. And for small
Mm-hmm.
companies, that's it. Stop using username and passwords. You need a fingerprint, face recognition, right? YubiKeys, multi-factors. What you know, who you are, right? And what you have. So you need to have all three. You cannot have two anymore. That's it.
So say those again. Say those again if you don't
So
mind.
it's what you have. So you need to have something physical, right? Or what you know, that you need to know the passwords. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
can guess it. You know it, right? And who you are. So face or fingerprint.
Mm-hmm.
So the three factors are secure enough because you cannot fake all three at the same time, right? You have your cell phone, right, physically, and
Yeah.
receiving the code, so nobody else has it. Even if they spoof it, then you need to have face and a fingerprint.
Mm-hmm.
If you have all three, right, then you're secure. And that, Okta and other solutions, they're really enhancing right now. They put AI capabilities as well. That's the key, right? So they analyze all these events, all your connections immediately, and can say, hold on a second. It does not look like Evgeny. This
Mm-hmm.
behavior changed. Stop. Stop access to everything. Let's figure out later. That's it. You just stopped access to the data.
The thing that I would say to people when we go to this, right, is to remind yourself why this is needed, right? Because there's going to be a level of frustration. And I know I went through it with another platform that, I mean, it was insane the stages that I had to go through to verify all the stuff. So just know that either you go, no, I'm not going to go through all that hassle and you're at risk, or you just set it up to go, you know what, this is just what it is. I have a deadbolt, I have my regular lock, I've got the chain on the door, I've got whatever that stuff is. And there's a reason for it. It's because not everyone out there has my best interest, and they're coming after stuff, but not to a point of paranoia. Because I think when we get the level up of protection, we're not going to be naive about it and think, oh, everything's great. You still need to be diligent on what's going on, but understand that the technology advancements that we have are in the hands of the good guys, and they're in the hands of the bad guys. So we just have to know that, and not like freak myself out or freak you out. To know it's just part of the world that we're living in.
Right, right. And I also think that you need to take a systematic, you need to have someone, if it's not within your organization, it's someone external who you trust that can think through from a holistic perspective the threat environment. And for example, like there are multiple domains of cybersecurity, right? And really to look at it from each domain, and from an AI perspective as well as from a non-AI perspective, right? And to make sure that you've got a solid strategy across all the
Yeah.
domains of cybersecurity, whether it be risk management, asset management, so on and so forth. So,
Evgeny and Manoj. Evgeny.
That's why I was preaching, right? That small and medium-sized companies, they cannot afford CIO. They cannot afford
Yeah.
CISO, right? That's they cannot. That's why they say, oh yeah, our CEO is the IT guy, right? This is the beauty. You hire the virtual CIO, virtual CISO, or virtual CFO, right? To come in, to have a look, help with the strategy, identify the weak points, and walk away.
Yep. Definitely. Manoj.
And I want to share guidance, right? Because all the AI risks are new, so there are various organizations who published guidance on how do you manage these risks. And one of the best guidance is the NIST AI Risk Management Framework, where they have provided the list of what are the different things that can happen because of criminals using AI or your employees using AI, but then also mitigation strategies around that. So that's a very good document. If you Google for NIST AI Risk Management Framework, you'll be able to find
we'll put the link in the link in the description. We can share that so people can
because you don't want to get paranoid, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to get paranoid. Yes, the risks are big, the risks are scary, they're complex, but mitigating is also easy if you are just aware. You just need to be aware.
We always had similar risks, right, Manoj? Yeah, financial world, we always had this risk, right? We just need to analyze it, understand. But again, understanding, a lot of current, even IT directors, they don't have time to read about AI, which is changing daily, not monthly, right? They're not aware. So they're still using the legacy approach, and which hurts you. But on the bright side, again, the bad guys are not after a lot of small companies anymore. There are tools which basically do the assessment. Should I attack it or not? What's the value of your data?
Yeah.
They just run and say, well, yes, I have you. If I hack you, right, and they look at ROI, there are tools showing
Yeah,
ROI for this hack.
But
Yeah,
they
no, it
use
works.
the challenge with that is I don't want people walking away thinking I'm too small for them to risk it,
No,
because if the
yeah.
path of
no.
least if it's not that big of a deal, that you can do it, and there's little effort involved.
No, but
All
the
of us
small
are
organizations,
targets.
the small
Yeah,
organizations are used as practice ground by the new cyber criminals, because when new cyber criminals enter into that space and they want to test these tools, they'll target the small organization to practice what works, what doesn't work,
Yes.
and then they take those practices and target the larger
yeah. So I mean,
organizations.
I think everybody is there. The exposure's there. But like I said, but I don't want people to freak out. But then again, be prepared. You
Well,
know,
Yeah.
practice safe, whatever it is, right?
well,
Safe, whatever. This time has been cool, guys. I would love to go around the room really quick. Start with Greg. What are your takeaways? What's on your mind? Or, what are you going to do with what we chatted about today? Greg.
Well, I think we need to be aware of what we're putting into the public domain, and I mean, there's been some new innovations with GPT here recently that come up with scheduled tasks and the operator. If we're willingly giving our personal or corporate information into a public system, we have to be really cautious of all the information we're giving. And it comes back to the discernment thing that we have to be self-responsible on what we're willing to give away,
Hmm.
that important corporate information has to be protected and just not thrown out on the public domain. So that's kind of
Yeah.
my lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Totally agree. Steve.
yeah, I think for my takeaway is do my own risk analysis, right? Like, so everything is value of information, right, and level of diligence that I'm willing to pursue. And so, like, if it's an email and it's not really that valuable, and there's no link to click on that could result in malware, coming down to my computer, probably just look at the domain and not worry about it too much beyond that. And unless it's someone I know and it's everything, I just not generally don't respond and don't click on links, right? Anything above that, financial transactions, that's when I'm going to insist on anything on in person. If the
Yeah.
money is
Okay,
high,
cool.
risk analysis.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. My brain's going in a few different directions on that stuff. Manoj.
Yeah, now I'll mention what's on my mind in terms of AI, but
Yeah.
the new ChatGPT image generation functionality, mind blowing, mind
Yes.
blowing. I'm seriously considering canceling my Midjourney license. It is so good.
Did you hear that Midjourney, the CEO at Midjourney, like downplayed it, and
Yeah,
it was like not that big of a deal and all this stuff, and it's like, but isn't it? But isn't it?
yeah, it is. It is amazing. I think it is the best image generation, especially with text. That it gets, like, text was always an issue with every AI image generation software, and they've cracked that big problem.
Yeah.
And you can just update the image with prompts, which was not possible. And this is their first version, so it's only going to get
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is
uh,
the worst it's gonna get. This is the
yeah,
worst it's
yeah.
gonna be. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's reduced that amount of time where I want to post something on social media that had previously it used to take multiple iterations on Midjourney. It used to take an hour. Now I can do that in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like shrunk
Yeah.
that time between I want to share something with my LinkedIn community, and within 5 minutes I can share it.
Awesome. Yeah. No, cool stuff. Evgeny.
Well, we live in a very interesting time, right? Everything is changing by a minute, and then in every single field, right? So we don't need to be scared because we need to learn. That's
Yeah.
what I'm telling. Like, I'm reading and learning and trying. And then again, in small, medium-sized businesses, they need to reach out to some professionals, right? You don't need to go to KPMG anymore, right? You can go to smaller firms and ask, hey, do the assessment. And if you cannot do that, just learn how to prompt go to ChatGPT and tell it, hey, ChatGPT, pretend you're the best risk assessor. Okay, here's my business. That's what I do. Can you help me to assess my risks? And it will ask you, so what are you using for 2FA? Because it knows the best practices, right? ITSM best practices. I'll ask you, what are you using? Say, yeah, this. It will give you some recommendations, and then you can just follow the steps. We just recently did another risk assessment for clients, and like Humana Insurance, they changed their risk assessment. They added a few hundred more items, which is new to this market, right? And I read it and I still said, well, guys, you're still behind. You still don't see how you will be attacked or your clients will be attacked, right? I'm building a completely different risk assessment, right? With using GPT and best practices, which targeted, this is what the bad guys are using. So what is my risk if I'm attacked with those tools, right?
Yeah.
You can do it, but go to professionals, find this information. And as Steve mentioned, quantum computing is coming, but it's a completely different topic. I spoke to a few engineers who've been working on new encryption based on the quantum computing, which is coming. So they're ready, they will come, but there will be completely different game. We need to change everything.
And you know what's so funny? I hear you say that, and you're so excited.
Absolutely.
You were so excited.
Absolutely.
Other people are going, oh my God, I'm going to freak out. And then GD's like, it's coming.
It's
coming.
Listen, we invented the internet, we invented calculators, right? People were against it, but now we're using it all the time. Just look from the brighter side, right? I'm looking for the next big thing. It's a humanoid robotics, right? Hundreds of companies building them. And they're putting that in forced learning where the humanoid robots are learning how to walk, learning how to take objects. They don't prompt them, they don't program them anymore. And they even like their minds are blown. And I just told I was moving some boxes last week and said next year that humanoid robot is going to move boxes.
It's going to do that. My wife is waiting for the humanoid domestic worker to join our family soon.
Oh my God.
You know, the rate of change is only going to accelerate. That's
absolutely.
No, it's exciting, but it's just so funny. It's like it's coming, it's going to be here. So it's this sci-fi stuff that nobody ever really imagined that we're actually living in, and so it's a really cool time. So I encourage people to not be freaked out.
Read the book Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark. This is my Bible. He predicted all this, but he put it kind of like science fiction and true. Very intriguing. But when he wrote it, he predicted everything.
What was who wrote
it's
what?
Life 3.0.
Okay.
Max Tegmark.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's on Amazon.
So how long ago was that written? How long ago was that written?
That was a while ago. He wrote it maybe 5 years ago, but he predicted, but he put a very interesting spin. Read about it.
Okay.
I think it makes sense what he said there.
Okay. Interesting.
Has anyone
I love
seen
it when people predict stuff that's out there. Steve, I'm going to call it an episode. It's been awesome hanging out in the room with you guys. More next time. I don't need to put Evgeny's contact info in the description because it's in his background. Reach out if you have any questions or need any help in that space. We're here for the rest of the stuff to help you navigate through. Until next time, this has been AI Because. Please like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
We got the spark in the circuits now. As dummies listen, we'll show you how. A new wave rising, it's clear and loud. AI's the future, let's make you proud. Data and dreams combine in the air. From cloud to code, oh, we're everywhere. Innovation driving, we're breaking ground. With AI tools, let's turn it around. AI Because, we're powering your moves. Tech that's here for good, bringing all the moods. Ooh.